of this doubleheader. You're listening to Zach Ziegler here on the MSA Sports Network, taking you through all the action here in the 2016 season. Coming up on the Wild Things pregame show, we're going to have a recap of Game 1 of this doubleheader. Also coming up, an updated look at the standings here following the Game 1 loss by the Washington Wild Things to the Joliet Slammers. And we're also going to take a look at the lineups and have the pitching matchup for you. It's all coming up right here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Now, as we said, the Joliet Slammers unfortunately took Game 1 from your Washington Wild Things 5-0. It was certainly a pitcher's duel between the two starters, Matt Frodden and Liam O'Sullivan. No runs were scored in this game until the 5th inning for the Wild Things. Matt Frodden, a 1-2-3 inning in the first. He faced 4 men in the second, 4 men in the third, faced 5 in the fourth. The first really threat of the day for the Joliet Slammers. Jake Gronsky flew out to start things. Carter Bell would pop out before Mike Garza would single. Zarly Zalewski walked, and Melvin Rodriguez flew out to end that threat. So they had runners at first and second, 2 men out, nothing coming of it. Then for Liam O'Sullivan, the opposition, he faced 4 men in the first. A leadoff triple by Andrew Heck was wasted there as he was stranded at third with nobody out and was stranded there to end the inning. The Wild Things did the same thing in the second, getting a runner to third with 1 out and stranding him there. Then in the third, O'Sullivan a 1-2-3 inning. In the fourth, Wild Things threatened again as Ricky Rodriguez doubled to lead things off. Dave Popkins then walked before Jimmy Yezzo, Kyle Pollock, and Grant Fink each got out to end the inning. The big inning in this game for the Joliet Slammers was the top of the 5th. It started out with a Casey Fletcher walk. Then Charlie White would sacrifice bunt him to second base. There's a runner at second, 1 man out. Alfredo Rodriguez would fly out for the second out of the inning before Mark Flores would single. That put runners at first and third with 2 men out. And Jake Gronsky then came through with an RBI single. Fletcher came around to score, and Joliet took a 1-0 lead. Next batter, Jake Gronsky. He delivered an RBI single, and Carter Bell's RBI single brought home Mark Flores. That made it 2-0 Joliet. Then the big blow in the top of the 5th inning, a 3-run home run by Mike Garza. It was his second home run of the year over the center field wall. That gave Joliet a 5-0 lead. Zarly Zalewski would then single, and that would be all for your starter, Matt Frodden. Brian O'Keefe came in to get the final out of that inning. For Frodden on the day, went 4 2/3, gave up 5 runs, all earned on 7 hits, walked 3, and struck out 3 in the ball game. Liam O'Sullivan, however, kept his magic going in the bottom half of the 5th. He got a 1-2-3 inning. Wild Things threatened in the bottom of the 6th. Chris Grayson grounded out. Ricky Rodriguez struck out before Dave Popkins walked, and Jimmy Yezzo singled to put runners at first and second with 2 men out, and Kyle Pollock would hit into a fielder's choice to end the inning. Wild Things in the bottom of the 7th didn't go down without a fight. Grant Fink doubled and was moved up to third on the error by Charlie White out in center field, so there's nobody out and a runner at third. Ryan Willard would then ground out to the third baseman, keeping Fink at third, still with 1 man out, before Austin Wobrock grounded out to the shortstop. Fink would score, and that made it 5-1 Joliet Slammers. And then Andrew Heck up with the bases loaded and 2 men out. Heck would fly out to end the ball game. Liam O'Sullivan in this one goes a complete game, 7 innings of work, gave up 1 run. That run was not earned on 5 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts on the night for Liam O'Sullivan. So Joliet takes the 5-1 win in Game 1 of this doubleheader. The winning pitcher was Liam O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan improved to 10-1 on the season. The losing pitcher in that game was Matt Frodden. Frodden fell to 7-7. Going to take our first break here on the Washington Wild Things pregame show. When we come back, an updated look at the standings here in the Frontier League in terms of the playoff positioning. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball and the Washington Wild Things pregame show right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Washington Wild Things pregame show getting you ready for Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Going to take a look at the updated standings after that Game 1 loss by the Wild Things. Now the Wild Things trail Joliet by 3.5 in the Frontier League East Division. They sit at 43-43. Joliet at 47-40. In terms of the wild card race here in the Frontier League, Wild Things entered today just a game back of that second wild card spot, now a game and a half back of River City after the loss to the Joliet Slammers. River City is in action right now. They are currently in the bottom of the first in O'Fallon, Missouri. 0-0 game there between the Rascals and the Normal Corn Belters. Wild Things tied with the Corn Belters now for that 1.5 back of that second wild card spot. So that loss in Game 1 not doing much to help matters for the Wild Things in terms of playoff positioning. But Game 2 is a new game. We'll see if they can come out and split this series with this doubleheader with the Joliet Slammers. Game 2 of the 4-game series. Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. You're listening to the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Now, speaking of scores from around the league, going to take a look at some of those scores from around the league. And actually, that game in O'Fallon, Missouri has just been delayed due to rain. River City leads Normal 5-0, so a big first inning for River City. They have a 5-0 lead over the Normal Corn Belters. Then another game delayed due to rain in Florence, Kentucky. Florence leading the Gateway Grizzlies 4-1. Some games still in action in the bottom of the third in Evansville, Indiana. The Evansville Otters have a 7-1 lead over the Southern Illinois Miners. At Werfel Park in Traverse City, Michigan, Lake Erie is handling Traverse City. They lead 5-4. In Crestwood, Illinois at Standard Bank Stadium, Windy City currently leading Schaumburg 1-0. And then Game 2 of the doubleheader between your Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers set to get underway any moment now from Consol Energy Park. The teams are warming up and are just about ready to go for Game 2 of the doubleheader. We're going to take one last break. When we come back, we're going to have lineups and first pitch for you here in Game 2 of the doubleheader between your Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School, lead, don't follow.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get to sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Ready for baseball here in Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Slammers taking Game 1 from the Wild Things by the score of 5-1. Wild Things looking to bounce back here in Game 2. They're on the field right now. They'll align defensively like this. In the outfield left to right, Andrew Heck, Chris Grayson, Dave Popkins. Left side of the infield held down by Ricky Rodriguez and Austin Wobrock. Right side by Grant Fink and Jimmy Yezzo. Behind the plate, John Fidanza. Catching tonight's starter, Brandon Bixler. Bixler so far in the year, 1-0, no ERA. He's appeared in one game, making his first Wild Things start here tonight. He's thrown 3 1/3 innings of work, giving up 3 hits, no runs, no earned. Has struck out 3 and has yet to walk anybody in his Wild Things career. Here's the lineup he'll face for the Joliet Slammers. They'll lead off with their shortstop, Alfredo Rodriguez. Batting second in left field, Mark Flores. Hitting third at third base, Jake Gronsky. Batting fourth, designated hitter, Carter Bell. Batting fifth at first base, Mike Garza. Batting sixth in right field, Zarly Zalewski. Batting seventh at second base, Melvin Rodriguez. Hitting eighth behind the plate, Joe Staley. And batting ninth and playing in center field is Charlie White. So basically the same lineup for Joliet as Game 1, with the exception of Joe Staley behind the plate instead of Casey Fletcher. Stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the first, Game 2 of the doubleheader, is the shortstop, Alfredo Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far in the year hitting .292, 3 home runs, and 26 RBIs. Top of the first, Game 2 of this doubleheader. Game 2 of the 4-game series. We're only playing 7 here tonight in this Game 2. Brandon Bixler making his first start as a Washington Wild Thing. One other appearance, that was out of the bullpen against the Schaumburg Boomers. So Brandon Bixler on the mound, looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And the first pitch is a called strike at the letters. No balls and 1 strike. First pitch tonight thrown at 8:37 p.m. Eastern Time. Temperature outside dropped a little bit, 79 degrees. First pitch time and temperature brought to you by State Line Grocery and Hotspot. The 0-1 swung on a miss by Rodriguez, and the count goes to no balls, 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on the Joliet shortstop in his second year with the Joliet Slammers. Bixler has his sign. Here's the 0-2 offering. And time is called as John Fidanza behind the plate wants to go through things again. It's Fidanza's second start as a Wild Thing. First time working with Brandon Bixler on the mound. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the 0-2 offering. And that one's just outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Prior to joining the Washington Wild Things, Brandon Bixler spent some time in the Toronto Blue Jays organization, also in the Minnesota Twins organization. The 1-2, and this one fouled back into the seats. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. He's split time between single A and rookie ball in his career with the minors. In minor leagues, he has a record of 10-6, a .297 ERA, and 106 innings of work. Bixler's 1-2, and a check swing. Did he go around? No, says the field umpire Luke Cammermere, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Speaking of the umpires for today's game, a flip-flop of Game 1 is Chuck Adaya now behind the plate, and Luke Cammermere out on the bases. Bixler has his sign, and the 2-2 pitch. And a swing and a ground ball to second. Grant Fink going to handle it on a hop. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Joliet Slammers here in the top of the first. And that brings to the plate the left fielder, Mark Flores. Flores so far in the year for Joliet is hitting .286 with 11 home runs and 59 RBIs. 1 man out top of the first. No score between your Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Coaching on the bases for Joliet. At third base, their manager Jeff Esom, and at first base is the assistant coach Chris Mongiardo. Bixler has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. Flores gets this bunt down. Wild Things in the shift. Bixler off the mound. His throw to first is not going to be in time, so it's the infield single for Mark Flores. And there's a runner at first with nobody out. Wild Things in the shift that time. They had 3 infielders on the right side of the infield, so Flores slapping that bunt down the left field line, and nobody but Bixler could have made the play. It's a perfect bunt for Flores. First hit for the Joliet Slammers, and that brings to the plate the third baseman, Jake Gronsky. Gronsky so far hitting .292, 8 home runs, and 64 RBIs. Those 64 RBIs are good for the team lead for the Joliet Slammers. One out, runner at first for Joliet here in the top of the first. No score. Bixler looking in. Has his sign, he's set, checks Flores at first, and the pitch on the way. That one's high and outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Now, in Bixler's first appearance as a Wild Thing, did not walk anybody in 3 1/3 innings. Came in to relieve Christian Powell, who went 4 innings in that August 20th start. Bixler coming out of the bullpen going 3 1/3. Has his sign, he's set, the 1-0. This ball hit to right field. Dave Popkins going towards the line. It's hit deep, back to the track, and this one hits off the wall. Flores had to wait to see if that one's going to be caught, so he's going to wind up at third, and it's just a long single for Jake Gronsky. So it'll be runners at first and third with just 1 man out. Gronsky kicking himself for not moving up on that one. Dave Popkins had a little bit of trouble with that in the right field corner. Mark Flores had to wait to see if that one was going to be caught by Popkins, so he only ends up at third. There's runners at first and third, 1 man out, and that brings up the designated hitter, Carter Bell. Bell so far on the year for Joliet. He's hitting .319, 12 home runs, and 70 RBIs. 1 man out, top of the first. Joliet threatening here against Brandon Bixler. Bixler has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the pitch. That one's outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Bixler at a 2-2 count to Alfredo Rodriguez before getting him to ground out, and then those allowed back-to-back singles with just that 1 man out, trying to buckle down and get a ground ball here. Has his sign. He's set, and the 1-0. That one's outside for a ball, and the count now goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Fidanza having to pick that one up in the left-handed batter's box. Carter Bell, the right-handed hitter. Second straight game as a DH for Carter Bell. As we said, the only lineup change for Joliet is catcher Joe Staley instead of Casey Fletcher. Bixler set. Here's the 2-0, and this ball popped up. Foul territory off to the right. Yezzo and Popkins give it a look, but it'll land behind the Wild Things bullpen, and the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count. Matt Frodden in game 1 pitched very well up to the 5th inning, gave up 5 runs in that 5th inning, however, which would lead to the eventual loss and his record being evened up at 7-7. Lefty Brandon Bixler facing off against the right-handed hitter Carter Bell. Bixler has his sign, checks the runner at first, and the 2-1 offering. And a swing and a foul ball towards the Joliet dugout. Hits off the railing of the dugout, and the count evens up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Bixler would love to get a strikeout here now with 2 strikes and strand those runners right where they are at first and third with 2 outs in the inning rather than just 1. And Bixler has very good strikeout numbers, 116 strikeouts in 106 innings of work in the minor leagues. However, did not start a game in any of his minor leagues. This is his first professional start. Bixler has his sign, checks first. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a line drive to left field. Andrew Heck's not going to get it as this will get down. Flores is going to score, and the Joliet Slammers take the early lead in this one. They lead 1-0 over your Washington Wild Things. RBI single there for Carter Bell, and there are runners at first and second still for Joliet with just 1 man out. That'll bring to the plate the first baseman, Mike Garza. Garza so far on the year is hitting .290 with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. Hit his second home run of the year in game 1 of this doubleheader, the 3-run shot that put the game out of reach for the Wild Things. So 1-0 Joliet, game 2 of this doubleheader, top of the first, and 1 man out. Bixler checks second. Here's the pitch. That one's outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count. Bixler just not finding his groove on the mound early on here in game 2 of the doubleheaders. Already down 1-0. He's given up 3 hits in the ball game. Has his sign, checks second, and the 1-0 offering. This one grounded towards second. Grant Fink has it to second for 1 on to first, and that's just what the Wild Things needed. A 4-6-3 double play, and that will end the inning. However, Joliet does get a run in the inning on 3 hits, no errors, and they leave 1 man on. After half an inning of play, the score, Joliet Slammers 1, your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose Pro Grass, First in Turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the first, and the score: Joliet 1 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. The Joliet Slammers out there right now. They'll align like this defensively. Outfield left to right, Mark Flores, Charlie White, and Zarly Zalewski. Left side of the infield held down by Jake Gronsky and Alfredo Rodriguez. Right side by Melvin Rodriguez and Mike Garza. Behind the plate is Joe Staley. Catching tonight's starter, Chris Rice. Rice so far in the year, record of 3-1, a 3.69 ERA, appearing in his 25th game, making his 7th start. He's thrown 56 innings of work, and we have 50 hits, 28 runs, 23 earned on 32 walks, and 56 strikeouts so far on the season. The lineup he'll face for the Washington Wild Things looks like this. They'll lead off with their left fielder, Andrew Heck, batting second in center field, Chris Grayson. Hitting third at third base, Ricky Rodriguez. Batting fourth in right field, Dave Popkins. In the 5 spot at first base, Jimmy Yezzo. Batting sixth, designated hitter, Kyle Pollock. Batting seventh at second base, Grant Fink. Batting eighth and catching, John Fidanza. And rounding out the lineup, batting ninth, is Austin Wobrock. On the mound, as you saw, left-hander Brandon Bixler. Bixler entered today with a record of 1-0 and a 0.00 ERA. Wild Things 43-43, and Joliet 47-40 after that loss in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Joliet winning that one 5-1. So Chris Rice on for the Joliet Slammers here in Game 2. And stepping in to lead off things for your Washington Wild Things in the bottom of the first is the left fielder Andrew Heck. Heck so far on the year is hitting .274, no home runs, and 15 RBIs. Heck in to lead things off here in the bottom of the first. Wild Things down 1 here in Game 2 of this doubleheader between the Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. First and second place teams here in the Frontier League East. Wild Things now trailing Joliet by 3.5 after the loss in Game 1. Rice has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Heck takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. No balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count on the base paths for the Wild Things coaching-wise. Manager Greg Langben at third and assistant coach Tim Provenzano over at first. Rice has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-1. And that one's outside for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Andrew Heck back in that leadoff spot for the Washington Wild Things. The place he's occupied for over a month now for this Wild Things team, has done very well in that spot. Currently hit 4th on the team with his .274 average. The 1-1, and this one hit down the right field line, but that'll get back into the seats foul, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Joliet getting on the board in the top of the first, an RBI single by Carter Bell, bringing that first run of the ball game. So Chris Rice pitching with a lead. Rice looks in, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the 1-2 offering. And Heck takes this one inside. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count for Chris Rice. His last time out, he got a loss against the Gateway Grizzlies on August 19th. Went 4 1/3 in that game. 2 runs, both earned. 4 hits, walked 2, and struck out 3. Rice has his sign. He's set. And the 2-2 pitch. And Heck takes this one for a called strike 3. He's out number 1 here in the bottom of the first. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things, and that brings to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far hitting .287 with 4 home runs and 18 RBIs. Currently second on the team with that .287 average. 1 man out, bottom of the first, after Andrew Heck strikes out to lead things off. Chris Rice, very good in the strikeout department. 56 strikeouts in 56 innings of work, averaging 1 strikeout an inning so far in this season. Also 32 walks. So the walk number's a little bit high for Rice, but he's made up for it in the strikeout category. Rice has his sign. Here's the pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Grayson, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Wild Things couldn't solve starter Liam O'Sullivan in Game 1. O'Sullivan getting the complete game victory, just giving up 1 run. It was not an earned run, so his ERA not affected. The Wild Things trying to break through here against Rice. Here's the 0-1. Grayson showing bunt. Did he keep it around? Yes, says the home plate umpire, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Grayson not pulling that bunt back in time, and Rice ahead 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the bottom of the first. 1-0 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Rice looking in, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the 0-2 offering. Outside for a ball, Grayson wisely lays off as that one was outside in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wild Things in their red alternate jerseys with the black stripe on the sleeve. Joliet in their gray road jerseys. Same jerseys these two teams wore for game 1. Rice has his sign. Here's the 1-2. And that one's low for a ball. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 here on the Wild Things center fielder. Rice went 2-2 to Andrew Heck before striking him out for the first out in the inning. Lefty on lefty matchup. Rice between Chris Grayson. Rice has his sign. He's set. And the 2-2. Grayson, a fly ball towards right center field. Charlie White drifting over there, and he'll make the catch. That's in time for out number 2. So Rice retires the first 2 Wild Things he faces here in the bottom of the first. And that brings to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far on the year, hitting .298, 7 home runs, and 32 RBIs. That .298 average good for first on this Washington Wild Things team. 2 men out, bottom of the first. 1-0 Joliet leads here over the Washington Wild Things. Chris Rice looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez was the designated hitter in game 1 of this doubleheader. Grant Fink getting the start at third base in that one. Here in game 2, Rodriguez out there at third. Here's the 1-0 from Rice. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on the Wild Things third baseman. 2 men out, bottom of the first. Rodriguez, an all-star third baseman for the Wild Things this season. Rice has his sign. He's set. Here's the 2-0. And that one's low for a ball. So 3 straight balls here from Chris Rice to the number 3 hitter in the Wild Things order. He's down 3-0. 3 balls, no strikes, 2 men out. Chris Rice, rare starter that works from the stretch as opposed to the windup here in this one. Rice has his sign. He's set. And the 3-0 pitch. And that one's a called strike, hitting into the letters on Ricky Rodriguez. And the count 3 balls and 1 strike. Rodriguez taking all the way on that 3-1 pitch as he'll look to do it again. 3 balls and a strike. Rice has his sign. He's set. And the 3-1 offering. And Rodriguez lines this one to left field over his floor as he dives. And he made the catch. He somehow held on to that baseball. And that is out number 3. A diving catch to end the inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Wild Things here in the first. And after 1 here at Consol Energy Park, the score, Joliet 1, your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the second, and the score. The Joliet Slammers 1 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Last inning for the Joliet Slammers, Alfredo Rodriguez grounded out to lead things off. Then Mark Flores singled, Jake Gronsky singled to put runners at first and third with 1 man out before Carter Bell came through with an RBI single. Flores came around to score, and Joliet took a 1-0 lead. Then Mike Garza hit into a 4-6-3 double play, and that would end the inning. Due up here in the second against Bixler, Zarly Zalewski, Melvin Rodriguez, and Joe Staley, 6, 7, and 8 against the Wild Things left-hander. Wild Things and Slammers continue this 4-game series tomorrow evening, 7:05 first pitch for Game 3 of this 4-game series. On the mound for your Wild Things will be Christian Powell. 7:05 first pitch, and all fans in attendance will get a Wild Things knit cap giveaway. So come out for tickets. Go www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Only 2 more home games left after tonight's doubleheader, so be sure to come out and support your Washington Wild Things as they go through this playoff push. Stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the second is the right fielder, Zarley Zalewski. Zalewski so far in the year hitting .286, 4 home runs, and 10 RBIs. Nobody out top of the second. 1-0 Joliet leading over your Washington Wild Things. Brandon Bixler looking for a much cleaner second inning than he had in the first, allowing that 1 run on 3 hits. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the pitch. And this ball popped up, back to foul territory, and will get into the seats on the first base side. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count. Bixler as well working from the stretch instead of the windup. So both starters here today working from that stretch position. Both have been primarily out of the bullpen for their teams. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1 offering. And Zalewski takes this one high for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball, 1 strike. For Zarley Zalewski, saw him hitting from the left side against the righty Matt Fraud, and for a majority of game 1, switching around to the right side against the lefty Bixler here. The 1-1. This one lined down the left field line, foul towards the Joliet bullpen, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Zarley Zalewski was not a part of the Joliet team the last time the Wild Things played Joliet. Zalewski playing in his 24th game as a Joliet Slammer, primarily in the outfield. Bixler has his sign, the 1-2, and this one lined up the middle, and that'll be a leadoff single for Zarley Zalewski. So the Joliet Slammers get a runner on here to lead off this top of the second inning. That'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Melvin Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far on the year is hitting .265, 6 home runs, and 31 RBIs. Nobody out top of the second. 1-0 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things in this ball game. Nobody out top of the second. Leadoff single for Zalewski. He's at first. Bixler has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Melvin Rodriguez, hitting from the left side against the lefty Brandon Bixler. Rodriguez in his first year with the Joliet Slammers. Ricky Rodriguez in on the grass at third. Bixler set. Here's the 1-0. And that one's low for a ball, so falling behind Melvin Rodriguez is Brandon Bixler now. 2 balls, no strikes. 2-0 the count. Bixler struggled in that first inning, giving up 3 hits and just the 1 run. And already here in inning number 2, he's given up a leadoff single. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the 2-0 offering. And a swing and a miss there by Rodriguez, so the count now goes to 2 balls and a strike. Bixler getting back in the count a little bit against Melvin Rodriguez. Brandon Bixler, as we said, played for mostly the Minnesota Twins organization, did spend a little bit of time in the Toronto Blue Jays organization, a record of 10-6 and a .297 ERA in the minor leagues. Bixler's 2-1, and that one's inside, off the inside part of the plate. Count now going to 3 balls and 1 strike. 3-1 the count here on Melvin Rodriguez. First 3-ball count for him on the day. He has not walked a batter to this point. Bixler has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the 3-1 offering. And this ball grounded softly to Yezzo at first. Has it. Throws to second for 1, and they'll have no return play at first base. So it's a fielder's choice for Melvin Rodriguez. 3-6 on the putout as he'll replace Zarley Zalewski at first. There's now 1 out here in this top of the second inning, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher, Joe Staley. Staley so far in the year for Joliet is currently hitting .251, 8 home runs, and 30 RBIs. Those 8 home runs tied for third on the team with Jake Gronsky. They're behind Carter Bell, so they're tied for second on the team. Bixler has his sign, checks the runner at first, and the pitch on the way. And Staley takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Casey Fletcher was behind the plate for game 1 of the doubleheader. Now Joe Staley out there for game 2. Staley, the primary catcher for Joliet. Bixler has his sign, checks first, and the 1-0 offering. This one grounded to the left side, past the third base coaching box. Joliet manager Jeff Isom having to jump out of the way over there, and the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Jeff Isom actually managed the Washington Wild Things, was the first ever manager for your Washington Wild Things back in the 2001-2002 seasons. Bixler has his sign. Checks Rodriguez at first. Here's the 1-1. This one hit on the ground to short. Ricky Rodriguez cutting off Wobrock, throws to second, and the throw pulls Grant Fink off the bag. So it's a throwing error there for Ricky Rodriguez, E5, and there's runners at first and second now with just one man out. Rodriguez's throw pulls Grant Fink off the bag. It's an E5, and that'll bring to the plate the center fielder, Charlie White. White so far on the year, hitting .251 with 5 home runs and 31 RBIs. One man out here in the top of the second. 1-0 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. They're threatening again here in the top of inning number 2. Runners are at first and second with just one man out. Bixler would love another double play ball. Got one to end the first inning. Bixler has his sign, checks second, and the pitch on the way. And this one swung on and missed by Charlie White. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count here on the Joliet center fielder. Top of the second, one man out. Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Wild Things and Joliet. Joliet taking game 1 of the doubleheader by the score of 5-1. Bixler looks in, has his sign, checks second, and the 0-1 offering. And this one taken for a strike on the outside corner. Count now going to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2, Charlie White in the number 9 spot for the second straight game here in this doubleheader. As we said, Joliet using the same lineup for each game, just switching Joe Staley and Casey Fletcher out of that number 8 spot. Bixler looks in, going through the signs. Now he'll step off as he wants to go through them once more. No balls, 2 strikes, one man out. Bixler set. Has his sign, checks second, and the 0-2. And this one grounded to second. Grant Fink to second for 1, on to first, and the return throw not in time. So it's a fielder's choice for Charlie White. 4-6 on the putout. That puts runners at first and third now with 2 men out, and brings to the plate the shortstop, Alfredo Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far on the day is 0 for 1, grounded out in his first at-bat, and Rodriguez in game 1 of the doubleheader would end up going 1 for 3, doubled, walked, and flew out twice in the ball game. 2 men out here in the top of the second. 1-0 Joliet leads. Back to the top of the line order, their second time through the lineup against Brandon Bixler. Bixler looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And this ball just off the inside part of the plate. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Alfredo Rodriguez. Joliet threatening again here in this second inning. Runners are at first and third with 2 men out. Bixler has his sign. He's set, checks first. Here's the 1-0. And this one just low for a ball. Count now goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Despite Bixler's wildness so far early on in this ball game, he's yet to walk a man so far, so doing good in that department at least, but right now on the losing end of a 1-0 score here in the second. Bixler has his sign, he's set, here's the 2-0. This ball grounded back over the mound. Grant Fink, a sliding stop, gets to his feet, he's going to have no throw. A run is going to come into score as Rodriguez crosses the plate, and it's 2-0 Joliet here in the top of the second. An infield single for Alfredo Rodriguez. He's at first. Charlie White moves up to second on the play. Melvin Rodriguez comes in to score, and it's 2-0 Joliet. That'll bring up the left fielder, Mark Flores. Flores so far 1 for 1. Singled and scored a run in his first at-bat in inning number 1. Flores in game 1 of the doubleheader would go 1 for 4. Singled, grounded out twice, and flew out in the ball game. Bixler looking in to John Fidanza. Wants to go through the signs once more. 2 men out, top of the second. 2-0 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. They have runners at first and second with 2 men out. Lefty on lefty matchup. Bixler looking in. Has his sign, he's set. Holds the letters, checks second, and the pitch on the way. And that one is high for a ball. John Fidanza not able to glove that one. And the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. That one actually hit off the mask of John Fidanza and trickled a little bit away. So Fidanza's all good. Getting back in his mask and getting back in the crouch behind the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. 2 men out, top of the second. Mark Flores, the left-handed batter at the plate. Singled and scored already in this one. Bixler has his sign, he's set. Checks the runner at second, and the 1-0 offering. And this one lined into left field. Andrew Heck a couple of steps over, and he's going to make the catch, and that's in time for out number 3. However, Joliet gets another run in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and they leave 2 men on base. After 1.5 the score, Joliet 2, your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the second, and the score, the Joliet Slammers 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Last inning for the Wild Things, they would go 1-2-3 against Chris Rice. Andrew Heck struck out to lead things off. Chris Grayson then flew out, and Ricky Rodriguez was robbed on a diving catch by Mark Flores for out number 3. Due up here in the second, Dave Popkins, Jimmy Yezzo, and Kyle Pollock, 4, 5, and 6 for your Washington Wild Things. Chris Rice, very good in that first inning. Got the Wild Things 1-2-3. The Wild Things' last home game of the regular season here at Consol Energy Park is this Sunday. Game 4 of this 4-game series between your Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers, August 28th. It's a kids' day here at Consol Energy Park. All kids get to run the bases after the game, and also after the game, meet your favorite Washington Wild Things players and coaches and get autographs on the concourse here at Consol Energy Park. For tickets, go to www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Currently in the bottom of the second of Game 2 of this doubleheader, 2-0. Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things, and Dave Popkins coming to the plate to lead things off for the Wild Things. Popkins so far in the year hitting .278, 13 home runs, and 44 RBIs. Those 13 homers and 44 RBIs are both good for team leads on the Washington Wild Things club. Popkins switch inning, batting from the right side against the lefty Chris Rice. Saw him batting left-handed against the righty Liam O'Sullivan all game 1. So flopping around here for game 2 as we are ready to get underway here in the bottom of the second. Rice looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way to Popkins. He'll take that one outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Wild Things right fielder. Led the team in homers and RBIs a year ago as well, had 20 and 46. Rice has his sign, he's set. Here's the 1-0 offering. This ball hit to right field. Zarley Zalewski coming in, and he's not going to make the catch. It's the first hit of the day for the Wild Things. Popkins around first, heading to second. Popkins thinking 3. Here comes the throw, and it is not in time. Dave Popkins in there with a leadoff triple. So the Wild Things get a runner at third with nobody out here in the bottom of the second, and that'll bring to the plate the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far in the year is hitting .228, 12 home runs, and 38 RBIs. For Dave Popkins, that's his third triple of the 2016 season and sets the Wild Things in business. Runner at third and nobody out. The infield comes in here for the Joliet Slammers as Yezzo comes to the plate. Wild Things will try to come through. In game 1 of this doubleheader, they had a runner in scoring position with less than 1 out 4 times and only came through in 1 of those situations. Rice has his sign, he's set. The pitch to Yezzo. This one grounded towards second, and it's a base hit. RBI single for Jimmy Yezzo. Popkins scores, and the Wild Things cut the lead. It's now 2-1 Joliet. Yezzo's 39th RBI of the year, placing that one perfectly up the middle and wasting no time driving in the first run of this ball game. That brings up the designated hitter, Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far on the year hitting .236, 3 home runs, and 15 RBIs. 2-1 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Game 2 of this doubleheader. Wild Things getting on the board here in the bottom of the second. Rice has his sign. He's set the pitch, and Pollock takes this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Chris Rice on the mound having some troubles with his control early on. Has not been able to hit the strike zone on any sort of consistent basis to this point. Rice has his sign, checks first. Here's the 1-0. And that one's outside, and it gets by the catcher, Staley. That's going to allow Yezzo to move up to second on the play, so a wild pitch, and the Wild Things now have a runner at second with nobody out, and another man in scoring position for Kyle Pollock to try to drive in. Pollock was behind the plate in game 1 of this doubleheader. In there is the DH here for game 2. 2-0 the count on Kyle Pollock with nobody out in this bottom of the second inning. 2-1 Joliet leads. Rice has his sign, checks Yezzo at second, and the 2-0 to Pollock. And this one fouled back to the screen, so the count now goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 on the Wild Things catcher, right-handed hitter, facing off against the left-handed pitcher in Chris Rice. Game 2 of the doubleheader here at Consol Energy Park. 2-1, Joliet leads over your Wild Things. Rice has his sign, he's set, checks second. Here's the 2-1 pitch. This one grounded right to short. Alfredo Rodriguez handles it on a hop. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 out here in this bottom of the second for the Wild Things, and that brings to the plate the second baseman, Grant Fink. Fink so far in the year hitting .191, 8 home runs, and 21 RBIs. 1 man out here in the bottom of the second. 2-1, Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Chris Rice, the lefty, looking into his catcher, Joe Staley. Rice has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. This ball swung on and missed by Grant Fink, and the count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things second baseman. Fink was over at third base for game 1 of this doubleheader between your Wild Things and Joliet. Rice has his sign, he's set, checks second. Here's the 0-1. Fink fouls this one off back into the seats and right, and the count now going to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on Grant Fink, hitting from the right side against the lefty Chris Rice. Fink, a product of the Cleveland Indians organization. Game 2 of this 4-game series between the top 2 teams here in the Frontier League East. The Wild Things 3.5 back of the Joliet Slammers. Rice has his sign, check second, the 0-2, and a swing and a miss. Grant Fink strikes out. That's out number 2 here in the bottom of the second. 2 away for the Wild Things, and it'll bring up the catcher, John Fidanza. Fidanza so far playing in only his second game of the 2016 season, currently 2 for 3 in his first 3 at-bats. He's scored 2 runs, has also struck out once, and has been hit by a pitch. So John Fidanza coming in with 2 men out and a runner at second for the Wild Things. Rice looks in, has his sign, checks second, and the pitch on the way. And that one's taken low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Want to know the count here on John Fidanza? Fidanza actually in his second year with the Washington Wild Things was on the suspended list to start the season, then transferred to the disabled list and activated earlier in this homestand. Rice has his sign, the 1-0, and Fidanza a ground ball to second. Melvin Rodriguez has it. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. However, the Wild Things do score a run in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and they leave 1 man on. After 2 innings of play, the score, Joliet Slammers 2, your Washington Wild Things 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the third, and the score, Joliet Slammers 2, your Washington Wild Things 1. Last inning, Joliet would add to their 1-0 lead at that time. Zarley Zalewski singled to lead things off. Then Melvin Rodriguez reached on a fielder's choice. Zalewski was eliminated at second for the first out of the inning. Joe Staley would then reach on an error. That put runners at first and second with 1 man out. Then Charlie White hit into a fielder's choice, having Staley erased at second base. That put runners at first and third, 2 men out, before Alfredo Rodriguez came through with an RBI single. Well, Melvin Rodriguez would come around to score, and Joliet would then take a 2-0 lead. Mark Flores would then fly out to end the inning. Right now it's 2-1 Joliet. Due up here in the top of the third, Jake Gronsky, Carter Bell, and Mike Garza, 3, 4, and 5, facing off against Brandon Bixler. Now, Bixler only has 1 appearance for the Washington Wild Things. That was back on August 20th, facing off against the Schaumburg Boomers earlier in this homestand. Bixler went 3 1/3, did not give up a run on 3 hits, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 3. Tonight is his first start as a Washington Wild Thing, and actually his first professional start. Did not start a game in either the Minnesota Twins minor league system or the Toronto Blue Jays minor league system, so getting his first start here in Game 2 of the doubleheader tonight. Stepping in to lead things off against him is the third baseman, Jake Gronsky. Gronsky so far on the night, 1 for 1, singled in his first at-bat. Gronsky in game 1 of this doubleheader ended up going 1 for 4 with an RBI single. Also flew out twice and grounded out in the ball game. Nobody out, top of the third, 2-1. Joliet leads over the Washington Wild Things. Bixler looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Jake Gronsky. Brandon Bixler, not your typical delivery as he reaches way back before firing the ball to the zone. Devin Davis was talking about it. Says he loves seeing those guys with the weird windups. Loves watching Bixler pitch. Bixler's 1-0. And that one's inside for a ball. Count now goes to 2 balls and no strikes. That one just off the inside corner. Had a flinch there from home plate umpire Chuck Adaya, but does not give Bixler the call. 2 balls, no strikes. Top of the third. Bixler has his sign, the 2-0. And this ball lined into right field. Dave Popkins coming on, but he's not going to make the catch. It's a leadoff single for Jake Gronsky, and for the second straight inning, Joliet gets their leadoff man on, and that'll bring to the plate the designated hitter, Carter Bell. Bell so far 1 for 1, delivered an RBI single in his first at-bat, drove in the first run of the ball game. Bell in game 1 of this doubleheader would go 1 for 4 with an RBI single, also lined out, popped out, and struck out in the ball game. With that RBI single back in the first, that was Carter Bell's 71st RBI of the year. Throw over to first, and getting back is Jake Gronsky. Gronsky so far in the year, 6 stolen bases. He's been caught 4 times on the season. Nobody out, top of the third. 2-1, Joliet leads. Brandon Bixler looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And a swing and a miss there by Carter Bell, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. Brandon Bixler looking for his first scoreless inning here in this ball game. He's given up solo runs in the first and second inning to this point. Bixler going through the signs with John Fidanza. Has one he likes, he's set, and the 0-1 offering. And that one's low for a ball. That evens the count up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on Carter Bell. Bell played for the Wild Things for 2 seasons prior to this season with Joliet, playing for him for 4 games in 2014 and playing 48 games with them in 2015. Throw over to first, and Gronsky getting back in. Bixler keeping a close eye on Jake Gronsky over there at first base, trying to make sure he doesn't move up to scoring position with less than 1 out. Bixler has his sign, checks him. Here's the 1-1. This ball popped up. Left field, Andrew Heck back a couple of steps on it. He'll camp under it, and he makes the catch, and that's good for out number 1. 1 away for Joliet here in the top of the third, and that brings to the plate the first baseman, Mike Garza. Garza so far 0 for 1, hitting a 4-6-3 double play that would end inning number 1. 1 man out, top of the third, 2-1. Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Brandon Bixler, a guy who likes to work low in the zone against opposing hitters, so he's going to get a lot of ground balls pounded in the dirt. Got to be ready as a Wild Things infielder. Jake Gronsky takes his lead from first. Bixler looking in. Has his sign, he's set. Holds to the letters, and the pitch. That one's outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 here on Mike Garza. Prior to Garza joining the Joliet Slammers, it was usually Mark Flores who played in that first base position, but now Garza handling the everyday duties over there in his 10th game with Joliet. Here's Bixler's 1-0, and that one's a called strike at the letters. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Bixler trying to change up the location a little bit. First time through the lineup, we saw him working low in the zone more often than up in the zone. Right now, against Garza, he's working up in the zone early on. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the 1-1. Throw over to first, and Gronsky back in there. Gronsky 6 stolen bases on the season, as we said, was caught 4 times, so Bixler trying to make sure he doesn't move up. Bixler going through the signs with Fidanza, has one he likes, he's set. Checks first, and the 1-1. This ball fouled back to the screen, and that makes the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bixler ahead of Garza 1-2 with 1 man out. Bixler would love a double play ball, but with 2 strikes, looking more for the strikeout here with 1 man out in this top of the third. Gronsky takes his lead from first. Bixler looking in, going through the signs with Fidanza as Garza stepping back in. Bixler set, holds at the letters, and the 1-2 offering. And that one's outside for a ball, evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Mike Garza playing in his 10th game as a Joliet Slammer. Garza standing in there at 6'1", 200 pounds. Bixler has his sign, the 2-2. Swinging a broken bat roller to Yezzo. Yezzo to second for one, on to first, and it's a double play, and the inning is over. 3-6-3, and that ends the inning. No runs in the inning for the Slammers on one hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. After 2.5 the score, Joliet 2, your Washington Wild Things 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things Baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the third, and the score, Joliet Slammers 2, your Washington Wild Things 1. Wild Things got on the board in the bottom half of the second. Dave Popkins tripled to lead things off against Chris Rice. Then Jimmy Yezzo would hit an RBI single. Popkins scored, and the Wild Things cut Joliet's lead to 2-1. It was Yezzo's 39th RBI of the year. Then he'd move up on a wild pitch, put a runner at second, nobody out, before Kyle Pollock grounded out, Grant Fink struck out, and John Finanza grounded out to end the inning. Up here in the third, Austin Wolbrock, Andrew Heck, and Chris Grayson, 9-1-2, facing off against Chris Rice. Rice's last appearance for the Joliet Slammers was on August the 19th at Gateway. Went 4 1/3 in that one. Gave up 2 runs, both those runs earned on 4 hits, walked 2, and struck out 3 in the ball game. Time before that was very good against Traverse City. 7 innings, 3 runs, all earned on 3 hits, walked 2, and struck out 12 in the ball game. His season high for walks in a game is 5. That was on August 6th at Southern Illinois. Picked up the win at Southern Illinois as he went 6 innings, giving up 2 runs, 1 of those runs earned. Stepping in to lead things off here in the bottom of the third is the shortstop, Austin Wolbrock. Wolbrock so far in the year for the Wild Things is hitting .215, 1 home run, and 16 RBIs. Drove in his 16th RBI in Game 1 of the doubleheader, driving in the only run for the Wild Things on the night. Rice has his sign. He set the pitch, and Wolbrock takes this one high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Chris Rice hasn't been able to hit the zone as often as he would have liked here in the start of this ball game, and it's cost him that first run in inning number 2, the 1-0, and that one just off the outside corner of the plate, so falling behind Wolbrock here to start the bottom of the third. 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on the Wild Things shortstop's been out at shortstop for all but 4 games this season. Rice has his sign. He's set the 2-0. And this one hits the inside corner this time. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 here on Austin Wolbrock in his second year as a Washington Wild Thing. Joined the Wild Things a year ago and had 31 RBIs. Rice has his sign, the 2-1, and a swing and a foul ball right at the plate. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out, bottom of the third. Chris Rice trying to get this first out. Wolbrock trying to reach base. Here to lead off this inning. Big series for both of these teams. The top 2 teams here in the Frontier League East. Whichever team gets a series win here in this one ends up clinching a playoff spot. Rice has his sign. He's set the 2-2. This ball fouled off to the left, back into the seat, so the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. And with the Wild Things, with that loss in Game 1 of the doubleheader, sets them back a little bit. Now 3.5 back of the Joliet Slammers. So you went from a chance to be able to overtake the Joliet Slammers to now only the best you can do is be a half game back if you take the last 3 games. Rice has his sign, the 2-2. And this ball grounded softly to first. Garza's going to handle it. He'll take it to the bag himself, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the third, and that brings to the plate the left fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck so far in this one 0 for 1. He struck out looking in his first at-bat. Game 1 of the doubleheader, Heck would go 1 for 4. Tripled in the first, grounded out, struck out, and flew out in the ball game. 1 man out, bottom of the third. Second time through the lineup here for the Washington Wild Things, so they'll see if they can cut this lead even farther. They cut it in half, scoring a run in the bottom of the second, looking to try to tie things here in the third. Rice has his sign, the pitch, And Heck takes this one inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Want to know the count on Andrew Heck? Chris Rice has started almost every batter in this ball game behind. He's not been ahead very often ahead of these Wild Things hitters, just been getting outs when he's needed to. Here's the 1-0, and a swing and a miss by Heck, chasing one off the plate. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on the Wild Things left fielder. Righty on lefty matchup as the right-handed batter Andrew Heck facing off against the lefty Chris Rice. Rice has his sign, he's set, and the 1-1 offering. And this one grounded right back to the mound, off the glove of Rice. Nice recovery there by Alfredo Rodriguez. His throw to first, and that's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things in the bottom of the third, and that brings to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far 0 for 1. Flew out in his first at-bat. In game 1 for Chris Grayson, he would end up going 0 for 3. Flew out twice and grounded out in the ball game. Now Alfredo Rodriguez making that play look a lot easier than it is. Rodriguez was moving up the middle to try to back up his pitcher Chris Rice. However, the ball deflected off the glove of Rice, so Alfredo Rodriguez having to change direction to get back to that baseball. Nice job there defensively by the shortstop for Joliet. Rice has his sign, he's set, and the pitch. That one's on the inside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. First pitch curveball there from Chris Rice. Started it on the inside part of the plate and then broke it over the inside corner. No balls and a strike. 2 men out. Bottom of the third. Rice has his sign and the 0-1. That one's outside for a ball. Count goes even to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Grayson was froze on the first pitch as it went back into the zone, and that time wisely laid off one well out of the strike zone. Rice looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the 1-1 offering. And that one's a called strike, hitting the outside corner. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chris Rice has struck out 2 so far here in 2 2/3. In order to keep up his average of a strikeout an inning, he's got to get one here in the third. Rice has his sign, he's set, and the 1-2 pitch. That one's outside as Joe Staley able to block that one in the dirt, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 here on Chris Grayson. 2 runs on 6 hits for the Slammers. 1 run on 2 hits and an error for the Washington Wild Things. Chris Rice looking into Joe Staley, going for the signs. Has one he likes, he's set, and the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Chris Grayson strikes out, and that will end the inning. 1-2-3 go the Wild Things here in the third. And after 3 here at Consol Energy Park, the score, the Joliet Slammers 2, your Washington Wild Things 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the fourth, and the score, Joliet Slammers 2, your Washington Wild Things 1. Last inning for the Joliet Slammers, Jake Gronsky singled to lead things off. Carter Beldam flew out, and Mike Garza hit into a 3-6-3 double play to end the inning. Due up here in the fourth, Zarley Zalewski, Melvin Rodriguez, and Joe Staley, 6, 7, and 8 against Brandon Bixler. Bixler back out there for his 4th inning of work. His longest outing was his first outing so far for the Wild Things. 3 1/3 innings in that one. Did not give up a run, so looking to best that here tonight. So far, 3 innings, giving up 2 runs, both earned on 6 hits to this point. He has not walked a batter, and he also has not struck anybody out so far in this ball game. 6, 7, and 8 against Bixler here in this one. The last home series of the year between your Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Last home series of the regular season here at Consol Energy Park. Wild Things still very alive in the playoff race. 3.5 out of the Joliet Slammers for the first place in the Frontier League East, and currently 1.5 back of that second wild card spot behind the River City Rascals. Leading things off here in the top of the fourth for Joliet is their right fielder, Zarley Zalewski. Zalewski so far 1 for 1. He singled in his first at-bat back in the second. Zalewski in game 1 of this doubleheader would end up going 2 for 3, 2 singles, walked, and reached on a fielder's choice in the ball game. Nobody out, top of the fourth, 2-1. Joliet leads here at Consol Energy Park. Here's Bixler's pitch, And that one's inside for a ball. Nearly got Zalewski, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Joliet Slammers right fielder. Zalewski's been out there in both games here in this doubleheader. Here's Bixler's 1-0. This ball popped up, foul territory off to the right. It'll get back into the bleacher seats on the first base side, and the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Zalewski standing in there at 6'3", 200. He's from New Kensington, Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania native, not too far here from Washington, Pennsylvania. Bixler has his sign. He's set, and the 1-1. This one's high for a ball, and the count now goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count. Zalewski, as we said, batted left-handed for the entirety of that first game, except for his last at-bat against Brian O'Keefe, where he batted right-handed like he is now. The 2-1, and this one hit to the right side. That'll get into the bleacher seats as well, and the count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out, top of the fourth. 2-1, Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things here at a hot and humid night at Consol Energy Park. Game 2 of this doubleheader. Joliet took game 1 by the score of 5-1. Bixler has his sign. He's set. Here's the 2-2. And a swing and a miss. Bixler strikes out Zalewski, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the fourth. First strikeout of the day for Brandon Bixler. 1 up, 1 down for the Joliet Slammers, and that'll bring to the plate their second baseman, Melvin Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 0 for 1, reached on a fielder's choice and scored a run in inning number 2. In game 1 of the doubleheader, Rodriguez would go 0 for 3 in the ballgame. Flew out twice and grounded out. Bixler has his sign. Here's the pitch. That one's high for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Neither starter here in this ball game has really had the command they've wanted so far in this one. Chris Rice doing just a bit better than Brandon Bixler. Here's the 1-0. And this one grounded softly to the right side, and this will roll into foul territory where Bixler fields it, and the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Melvin Rodriguez. Again, no relation to the shortstop Alfredo Rodriguez or to Wild Things third baseman Ricky Rodriguez. We have 3 Rodriguezes here in this ball game, none of them related. Melvin Rodriguez is from Juan Diaz, Puerto Rico, played for the Auburn Double Days a year ago. He's a Rookie 2 status here in the Frontier League. Brandon Bixler looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the 1-1 offering. And this one's just outside for a ball. Count now goes to 2 balls and a strike on Melvin Rodriguez. 2-1. Bixler got the first out of this inning, getting his first strikeout of the day. Got Zalewski swinging. Bixler has his sign. He's set. And the 2-1 pitch. And that one's way inside. Rodriguez jumping out of the way, and the count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 here on Joliet's second baseman. 1 man out, top of the fourth. 2-1 Joliet leads. Bixler trying to keep him off the board for the second straight inning. Has his sign, the 3-1, and a swing and a miss, and the count goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Full count here on Melvin Rodriguez. On deck man is the catcher Joe Staley. Bixler looking to retire the second man here in the inning. Has his sign, he's set, and the 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and Bixler strikes him out. That's in time for out number 2. Bixler's second strikeout of the day. 2 up, 2 down here in the top of the fourth, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher, Joe Staley. Staley so far 0 for 1, reached on an error in his first at-bat. 2 outs here in the top of the fourth. 2-1, Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Game 2 of this doubleheader. Joliet able to win game 1 by the score of 5-1. Bixler looks in, has his sign, the pitch. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Joe Staley. Bixler again falling behind here in this fourth inning. Has his sign. He's set, the 1-0. And that one inside as well. Count now goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count here on Joe Staley. Did not catch game 1. Casey Fletcher was behind the plate, and Fletcher went 1 for 2 with a single. Also struck out and walked in the ball game. Bixler set the 2-0. And that one's a called strike, this time hitting the inside corner, and the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count. Brandon Bixler in his minor league career had only walked 56 batters in 106 innings of work, so the walks kind of high, but not that terrible. The 2-1. This one line past the diving Rodriguez down the left field line, a fair ball. Staley around first, heading to second. Andrew Heck going to field this one in the corner, and actually a ground rule double as it rolls under the fence out there. So it's a double for Joe Staley. He's in at second with 2 men out, and it brings to the plate the center fielder, Charlie White. White so far 0 for 1, reached on a fielder's choice in his first at-bat. Runner at second for Joliet. 2 men out, top of the fourth. They lead 2-1 here in this ball game. Bixler trying to keep them off the board here in this fourth inning. Charlie White in that game 1 of the doubleheader went 0 for 2, reached on a sac bunt, grounded out, and flew out in the ball game. Bixler looking into John Fidanza. Fidanza's second start for the Wild Things behind the plate here in this season. Bixler has his sign. He's set, checks second, and the pitch on the way. And that one way inside. White having to turn out of the way of that one, and the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Want to know the count here on the Joliet Slammers center fielder. Charlie White's been in that center field spot for all, 10 games between these two teams. Bixler has his sign, checks second, and the 1-0 offering. This one grounded to the right side and foul past the Wild Things dugout. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Brandon Bixler facing off against Charlie White, the center fielder for the Joliet Slammers. Batting from the left side, lefty-on-lefty matchup, 2 men out. Joe Staley, the runner at second. He hit a ground rule double with 2 men out here in this inning. Brandon Bixler looking into his catcher, John Fidanza. Bixler has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at second, and the 1-1. This ball hit in the air on the left side. Rodriguez giving chase, but to watch this one go foul into the seats on the third base line, and the count now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 here on Charlie White. 2 men out this top of the fourth inning. Joliet leads 2-1 over your Washington Wild Things. Brandon Bixler on his first professional start here in this one. First start for the Washington Wild Things. Bixler looking into John Fidanza, going through the signs. As Charlie White steps back in. Staley takes his lead from second. Bixler set. Checks him out there. And the 1-2. And this one lined up the middle, and that's a base hit. Staley going to be waved to the plate. And Chris Grayson bobbles it now, so Staley going to score without a throw. It's an RBI single for Charlie White, and Joliet extends their lead here in Game 2. They now lead 3-1 over your Washington Wild Things. Charlie White coming through with the RBI single. Staley scoring from second. So 3-1 Joliet leads. Back to the top of the order. That brings up the shortstop, Alfredo Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 1 for 2. Grounded out in the first and RBI single in inning number 2. 3-1 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. For Charlie White, that's RBI number 32 on the year. Bixler set, checks his runner at first. The pitch. That one's outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball with no strikes. With that, action starts in the Wild Things bullpen as righty Andrew Wick gets up and throws for the Wild Things. Bixler has his sign. He set, checks first. Here's the 1-0. And this ball line to center field, and that gets down for a base hit. So runners will now be at first and second with 2 men out. Back-to-back singles for the Joliet Slammers have brought in a run and put runners at first and second, 2 men out. And it brings to the plate the left fielder, Mark Flores. Flores so far in this one is 1 for 2. Singled and scored a run in the first and flew out in inning number 2. Mark Flores making his way to the plate. Top of the fourth, a run in the inning. 3-1 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Runners are at first and second, as at second Charlie White. He had that RBI single, and over at first is Alfredo Rodriguez. So Mark Flores stepping in now. Lefty-on-lefty matchup. Wick continues to warm up out there in the Wild Things bullpen. Bixler has his sign, checks second, and the pitch on the way. That one's in the dirt. John Fidanza able to block that one, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Want to know the count on the Joliet left fielder? Mark Flores, we've seen almost exclusively at first base for Joliet when the Wild Things and Slammers have met this season. Bixler has his sign, checks White at second, and the 1 ball, no strike pitch. That one's inside for a ball, and the count now 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count. Mark Flores bats from the left side. The tall infielder by trade for the Joliet Slammers, standing in there at 6'5", 225. Bixler has his sign. He's set to 2-0. This ball fouled off towards the Wild Things dugout. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count. Manager Greg Langman on the top step of the Wild Things dugout watching his starter Brandon Bixler carefully. You'd have to think that if Bixler doesn't get Flores out, that'll be all for him on this night. Bixler has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at second. And the 2-1 offering. And this ball fouled off down the left field line. Andrew Heck giving chase towards the foul line. And he's going to run out of room as that'll land in the lawn area here at Consol Energy Park. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 2 men out, top of the fourth. A run in for Joliet. They lead 3-1 on the RBI single by Charlie White. Bixler looks in. Has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at second. And the 2-2 pitch. And it's inside, and it gets Mark Flores. That'll load the bases now. Mark Flores not happy about getting hit there. So a hit by pitch loads the bases for Joliet with 2 outs in this inning. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Jake Gronsky. Gronsky so far in the game is 2 for 2. Has singled twice against Brandon Bixler, but manager Greg Langbank coming out of the Wild Things dugout. And we are going to have a pitching change here at Consol Energy Park. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more Washington Wild Things baseball. Current score, Joliet 3, your Washington Wild Things 1 in the top of the fourth.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get a sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, still in the top of the fourth with 2 men out and the bases loaded for Joliet. The score, Joliet 3 and your Washington Wild Things 1. New pitcher on for the Wild Things is its right-hander Andrew Wick. Wick so far in the year, 2-1 with 4 saves, a 3.55 ERA. Appearing in his 32nd game, he's thrown 38 innings of work, giving up 26 hits, 21 runs, 15 of those earned, 14 walks, and 39 strikeouts on the year. So Andrew Wick in to try to get the last out here in this top of the fourth inning. For Brandon Bixler, goes 3 2/3 on the night. So far, he's given up 3 runs, all of them earned on 9 hits, has not walked a man, and has struck out 2 in the ball game. So 2 men out here in this top of the fourth inning, and Jake Gronsky coming to the plate. Gronsky so far 2 for 2 with 2 singles here on the night. Bases loaded with Joliet Slammers. The runner at third, Charlie White. Runner at second, Alfredo Rodriguez. And the runner at first is Mark Flores. Wick looking into John Fidanza. Has his sign. He's set. Checks second and the pitch. This ball popped up. Shallow right field. Going out as Grant Fink. He'll call everyone off. And he makes the catch as the ball almost drifted on him. But he holds on for out number 3. So Wick comes in, gets the job done. However, Joliet does get another run in the inning on 3 hits, no errors, and they leave 3 men on base. After 3.5, the score. The Joliet Slammers 3, your Washington Wild Things 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the fourth, and the score, the Joliet Slammers 3 and your Washington Wild Things 1. Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Last inning for Washington, they would go 1-2-3 against Chris Rice. Austin Wobrock would ground out to lead things off. Then Andrew Heck grounded out, and Chris Grayson struck out to end the inning. Due up here in the bottom of the fourth is Ricky Rodriguez, Dave Popkins, and Jimmy Yezzo, 3, 4, and 5 against Chris Rice. Now, Rice hasn't been that great in this ball game, but he's done just enough to keep his team in the lead. He's been wild all night, but he's also been able to get outs when he's needed to here in this ball game. In terms of where he's been throughout his career, this is currently his second season in the Frontier League, pitched last year in a split between the Frontier Grays and the Traverse City Beach Bums. He went a combined 4-2 between the two teams. With Frontier, it was 3-0, a 1.14 ERA. With Traverse City, 1-2 with a 9.60 ERA. 11 games for the Grays, 15 games for the Beach Bums. But prior to that, he played for the San Rafael Pacifics, went 3-3 with a 2.93 ERA for them. So it's his third year in professional baseball, second year here in the Frontier League. Leading things off here in the bottom of the fourth for your Wild Things is the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far on the day, 0 for 1, flew out in his first at-bat in inning number 1. Nobody out, bottom of the fourth, 3-1 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things here at Consol Energy Park. Ricky Rodriguez digging in against Chris Rice. Rodriguez in his first year with the Wild Things was an All-Star, one of 4 All-Star representatives for your Wild Things team. Rice has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Rodriguez deep to left. Going back is Flores to the track, to the wall, and he leaps. Exit stage left. A solo home run for Ricky Rodriguez, and the Wild Things cut the lead to 1 now. It's now 3-2 Joliet. It's Rodriguez's 8th home run of the year, and when you need an attorney to hit one out of the park for you, yo, Keith. That home run brought to you by Keith Owen Campbell, attorney at law. Rodriguez's 8th, and the Wild Things have cut the lead to 1 here against Joliet. It's now 3-2. That brings to the plate the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far 1 for 1, tripled in his first at-bat against Chris Rice. It's now 3-2 Joliet over your Wild Things following that solo home run. And with that, guys will start moving around in the Joliet bullpen. Chris Rice looking in, going through the signs with Joe Staley. Has one he likes, he's set. Holds with the letters, and the pitch on the way to Popkins. That one's outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things right fielder. Rodriguez taking the first pitch he sees here in the inning and blasting it over that left field wall, his 8th bomb of the season. Rice looks in, has his sign, the 1-0. That one's outside for a ball, and the count now goes to 2 balls and no strikes here on Dave Popkins. 2-0 the count. Brandon Bixler's night as a Wild Thing is officially closed. Gave up 3 runs all earned in 3 2/3 innings of work, 9 hits and 2 strikeouts. Here's Rice's 2-0, and that one's low for a ball. Count now going to 3-0 here on Dave Popkins. 3 balls, no strikes, nobody out. Bottom of the fourth, 3-2 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Rice set, holds with the letters, and the 3-0. And that's outside ball 4. 4-pitch walk following the leadoff home run. So Dave Popkins reaches base now with nobody out, and that brings to the plate the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far on the day, 1 for 1, hit that RBI single back in inning number 2. 3-2 Joliet leads over your Wild Things. Yezzo coming to the plate. Dave Popkins on after the solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez. Joe Staley talking things over with Chris Rice. As we said, Rice really has not had his command here tonight. He's not been able to find the strike zone on a consistent basis. He's not pitched particularly well, but he's doing just enough right now to keep his team ahead here in this ball game. 3-2 Joliet leads over your Wild Things. Yezzo stepping in. Yezzo got his 39th RBI earlier in this game. Rice has his sign. Here's the pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Yezzo. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. Bottom of the fourth, 3-2. Joliet leads over your Wild Things. Rice has his sign. He's set. And the 0-1 offering. This one grounded to third. Jake Gronski to knee, handles it to second for one, on to first, and that cleans things up for Chris Rice here in the inning. A 5-4-3 double play, and now there are 2 outs here in this bottom of the fourth after the solo home run by Rodriguez, and it brings to the plate the designated hitter Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far 0 for 1, grounded out in inning number 2. Pollock was behind the plate for game 1 of this doubleheader, and in that game he ended up going 0 for 3. Ground out, strikeout, and a fielder's choice in the ball game. Rice has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. Pollock a grounder to third. Gronski handles it on a hop. He'll throw across to first, and that's in time for out number 3. However, the Wild Things do get a run in the inning on the solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez. No errors in the inning, and nobody left on base. After 4 innings of play, the score, the Joliet Slammers 3, and your Washington Wild Things 2. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 5th, and the score, the Joliet Slammers 3, your Washington Wild Things 2. Wild Things adding a run on the solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez in the bottom half of the 4th. Andrew Wick back out there for his first full inning of relief here in this one. Joliet added a run in the top half of the 4th. It started out with a Zarley Zalewski strikeout. Then Melvin Rodriguez struck out before Joe Staley doubled, followed by a Charlie White RBI single. Staley would score, and Joliet extended their lead to 3-1 at that point over your Washington Wild Things. Next batter, Alfredo Rodriguez would single before Mark Flores was hit by a pitch, and that was the end of the night for Brandon Bixler. Andrew Wick came in and got a 1-pitch out as Jake Gronski popped out to end that 4th inning. Due up here in the 5th, Carter Bell, Mike Garza, and Zarley Zalewski, 4, 5, and 6, facing off against Andrew Wick. Final line of the night for Brandon Bixler. Bixler goes 3 2/3 innings, gives up 3 runs, all of them earned on 9 hits, does not walk a man, and strikes out 2. Cannot win this ball game, but can lose it if the score stays right where it is. So Andrew Wick into the game for the Washington Wild Things. Wick was the closer on this Wild Things team to start the season, but after some ineffectiveness out of the first 2 games, Zach Groats emerged as the closer for the Wild Things. He has since been moved and picked up by the Los Angeles Dodgers, his contract purchased, currently in Single A with the Dodgers. Wick's last time out went 2 innings against Traverse City, gave up 1 run, none earned on 2 hits, did not walk a man, and struck out 4 in the contest. Stepping in to lead things off against him here in the top of the 5th is the designated hitter Carter Bell. Bell so far in this game is 1 for 2, RBI single in the 1st, and flew out in inning number 3. So Wick on for the Washington Wild Things. 39 strikeouts and 38 innings of work, so doing very well in that strikeout department. Wick looking into John Fidanza, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's a low in the dirt for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Wick got that final out of the top of the 4th inning, in for his first inning here in the 5th. Wick looks into Fidanza, has his sign, he's set, and the 1-0. And this one swung on and fouled off the ankle of Carter Bell. Count goes even to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Carter Bell actually spent some time with the Wild Things, as we were talking earlier. Played 2 seasons in both 2014 and 2015. Bell standing in at 6'1", 195 from Victoria Beach, California. Wick has his sign, the 1-1. This one swung on and missed by Carter Bell, and the count now goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wick ahead of the first man he faces here in the top of the 5th inning. Something Bixler did not do a very good job of here tonight. He was falling behind often, and that caused his demise in this ball game. Chris Rice doing the same thing, but Rice just staying ahead of this Wild Things team. Wick has his sign. He's set, the 1-2 pitch. And a called strike 3. Carter Bell strikes out, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the 5th. 1 up, 1 down for the Joliet Slammers, and that brings to the plate the first baseman, Mike Garza. Garza so far 0 for 2. He's grounded into a double play in each of his first 2 at-bats against Brandon Bixler. Mike Garza, one of the guys who's probably happy that Brandon Bixler's out of this ball game. See if he can do something new against the new pitcher, Andrew Wick. Wick looking into Fidanza, going through the signs. Has one he likes, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's a called strike on the outside corner. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count. Wick's ERA sitting at 3.55. Just had one rough patch in the beginning of the season. Has had trouble getting back down that ERA, but starting to work it here late in the season. The 0-1, swing and a miss by Garza, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Wick features a very high leg kick for a right-hander, brings that knee almost up to his chest level before straightening it out and then throwing the ball. He does kind of a karate kick for his windup. Wick has his sign. He's set, the 0-2. And a called strike 3. Wick strikes out the first too many faces here in the top of the 5th. 2 up, 2 down. And that brings to the plate the right fielder, Zarley Zalewski. Zalewski so far 1 for 2. Single in the second and struck out in inning number 4. 2 men out, top of the 5th. 3-2, Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Game 2 of this doubleheader here at Consol Energy Park. Joliet took game 1 by the score of 5-1 over your Wild Things. Wick looking into John Fidanza, going through the signs. Zalewski swaps around and hits from the left side now against the righty Wick. Here's his pitch. And that one's a called strike at the letters. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. This is just what you want to see from Andrew Wick, coming in and pounding the strike zone out of the bullpen, trying to get outs as quickly and efficiently as possible. Has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1 pitch, and now time is called as Zalewski thought Wick was taking just a little bit too much time on the mound. Wick has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1. Zalewski pops this one up. Left field, Andrew Heck in a couple of steps, and he's going to make the catch, and that's in time for out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Slammers here in inning number 5, and after 4.5, the score. Joliet 3, your Washington Wild Things 2. You're listening to Washington Wild Things Baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfill playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, currently in the bottom of the 5th, and the score, the Joliet Slammers 3 and your Washington Wild Things 2. Wild Things got a run in the bottom half of the 4th. Ricky Rodriguez led off the inning with a solo home run, his 8th home run of the year. That cut the Joliet lead to 3-2. Next batter, Dave Popkins would walk. Then Jimmy Yezzo hitting a 5-4-3 double play, followed by a ground out by Kyle Pollock. 2 up here in the bottom of the 5th. Grant Fink, John Fidanza, and Austin Wobrock, 7, 8, and 9, facing off against Chris Rice. Now, Rice, as we said, has been around professional baseball. His 3rd year as a professional baseball player, played in the Frontier League, split time between the Frontier Grays and the Traverse City Beach Bums in 2015. Currently this year with Joliet, and in 2014 pitched for the San Rafael Pacifics, 3-3 at 2.93 ERA in 29 games, made 2 starts for the San Rafael Pacific. So he has 8 career starts here in his professional career to this point, making his 8th start of this season, puts him at his 9th start, or 7th start this season, puts him at his 9th start of his career. Stepping to lead things off here in the bottom of the 5th is the second baseman, Grant Fink. Fink so far in the game 0 for 1. He struck out in inning number 2, that first at-bat. Fink played in game 1 of this doubleheader, was out at third base, and would go 1 for 3 in the game with a double. Also grounded out and struck out in the contest. Nobody out, bottom of the 5th, 3-2. Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Chris Rice looking for a clean 5th inning of work. No action out there in the Joliet bullpen, so manager Jeff Esom going to let him go here. Chris Rice looks into Joe Staley, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch. That one's outside for a ball, and Rice falling behind Grant Fink. 1 ball, no strikes. That's been a reoccurring theme with Rice all night. He's not been able to get ahead of anybody here in this Wild Things lineup. And sooner or later, the Wild Things have got to start capitalizing on that. Rice has his sign, the 1-0, and a swing and a miss there by Fink. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 on the Wild Things second baseman. Lefty on righty matchup. Grant Fink, a product of the Cleveland Indians organization, played in single A ball at the Lake County Captains for the Indians. Rice has his sign, the 1-1. And that one's low for a ball. Count now going to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count. This is game 2 of a big 4-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Wild Things had a chance to overtake Joliet, but after losing game 1, those chances have been squandered. The 2-1, and this one hit the left field. Going over a couple of steps is Flores. He'll make the catch, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the 5th, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher, John Fidanza. Fidanza so far 0 for 1, grounded out in his first at-bat in inning number 2. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 5th. 3-2 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things here at Consol Energy Park. You're listening to the MSA Sports Network. I'm Zach Ziegler. Chris Rice looking into Joe Staley. Rice has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's in there at the letters for a strike. Rice gets ahead of Fidanza, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Fidanza's second game here in the 2016 season. He did play for the Wild Things a season ago as well. Rice looks in, has his sign, the 0-1. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. For Fidanza last year, played in 41 games, hit 183 with no homers and 4 RBIs. Coming into today was 2 for 3 to start his season here in this one. Rice has his sign, the 1-1. That one's outside and low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike now. 2-1 the count on John Fidanza, the catcher for the Wild Things here in this one. He's Kyle Pollock's backup. Wild Things have 3 catchers on the roster. John Fidanza, Kyle Pollock, and Steve Solkowski is the 3rd catcher. Rice has his sign. He's set, the 2-1. This ball fouled off back to the screen. That evens things up with 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 1 man out, bottom of the 5th. First man retired in the inning. A fly out by Grant Fink. Fidanza trying to reach base. Rice looks in. Going through the signs. Has one he likes, he's set. Holds at the letters, and the 2-2. Outside for a ball, and the count now full on Fidanza. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count, 1 man out here in the bottom of the 5th. The on-deck man is Austin Wobrock. He'll follow Fidanza. Rice has his sign, he's set. And the 3-2 offering. And inside ball 4, so it's a 1-out walk. Fidanza reaches base. That's the 2nd walk of the day for Chris Rice. Wild Things have a runner at first with 1 man out, and that brings to the plate the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock so far 0 for 1, grounded out in his first at-bat in the bottom of inning number 3. 1 man out, bottom of the 5th. 3-2, Joliet leads over the Washington Wild Things. Game 2 of this doubleheader, and with that walk, that'll prompt some action in the Joliet bullpen. Some guys starting to move around out there trying to find their glove. Rice has his sign, checks Fidanza the pitch. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Austin Wobrock. Wobrock the shortstop for your Washington Wild Things. Batting from the left side against the lefty Chris Rice. Rice has his sign, he's set. The 1-0. Check swing there by Wobrock. Did he go around? No, says the umpires, and the count now 2 balls and no strikes. That'll make Joe Staley go out to the mound to talk to his starter, Chris Rice. Lefty warming up out there in the bullpen for the Joliet Slammers. Joe Staley out there currently talking to his starter, Chris Rice. The Wild Things entered today 2.5 back of the Joliet Slammers in the Frontier League East, but with that loss in Game 1, they now sit 3.5 back, and any chance they had of overtaking the Joliet Slammers in this series has gone for naught. Chris Rice looking in. Rice has his sign, he's set, and the 2-0 pitch. Ground ball up the middle, handled by Melvin Rodriguez. Flips to second, and Alvarado Rodriguez drops it. It's an error there on Melvin Rodriguez as his flip back to Alfredo Rodriguez at second base was mishandled out there. Wobrock reaches base, and that puts runners at first and second now with just one man out. They do make it an E4, as that was a routine double play ball, but the flip from the second baseman to the shortstop covering was unsuccessful. That brings to the plate the left fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck so far 0 for 2, struck out in the first and grounded out in inning number 3. Rice has his sign. He's set. Checks Fidanza at second. Here's the pitch. And Heck takes this one for a called strike on the inside corner. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Andrew Heck. Righty on lefty matchup. The third time through the lineup here for the Washington Wild Things as they try to get this game tied. Rice has his sign. Checks second. The 0-1. This ball fouled off to the right, back into the seats, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count. 3-2 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Bottom of the 5th here in Game 2 of this 4-game series. Game 2 of this doubleheader. John Fidanza, the runner at second. Austin Wobrock over at first. Rice has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. Swinging a ground ball to short. Alfredo Rodriguez to second for 1 on to first. And it is in time for the double play. And that will end the inning. 6-4-3. The Wild Things do not score in the inning on no hits, 1 error, and they leave 1 man on base. After 5 innings of play, the score, Joliet 3, your Washington Wild Things 2. You're listening to Washington Wild Things Baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 6th, and the score, the Joliet Slammers 3, your Washington Wild Things 2. Andrew Wick back out there for his second inning of relief. Wick got a 1-2-3 inning in the top half of the 5th, striking out Carter Bell and Mike Garza for the first 2 outs of the inning, and then Zarly Zalewski would fly out to end the inning. Due up here in the top of the 6th, Melvin Rodriguez, Joe Staley, and Charlie White, 7, 8, and 9, against Andrew Wick. Wick last year pitched for the Tampa Bay Rays organization in rookie ball, was then released by Tampa Bay and picked up by the Washington Wild Things. Next Wild Things broadcast tomorrow night, 7:05 first pitch for Game 3 of this 4-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Wild Things trying to split this doubleheader with Joliet. They lost the first game by a score of 5-1, currently down 3-2 here in the top of the 6th of Game 2. Andrew Wick looking for another scoreless inning out of the bullpen. Your starter tonight, Brandon Bixler, went 3 2/3 in this ball game. You have 3 runs, all earned on 9 hits. Did not walk anybody and struck out 2 against the Joliet Slammers. So not a great start for Bixler, but he has kept his team in the ball game. We'll see if he can get some offensive support here in these last 2 innings. 7, 8, and 9 due up to face Andrew Wick. Come out tomorrow night if you can't listen to the game here on MSA Sports Network. Tickets, www.washingtonwildthings.com, or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Stepping to lead things off here in the top of the 6th is the second baseman, Melvin Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 0 for 2, reached on a fielder's choice in the second, and struck out in inning number 4. Andrew Wick looking into his catcher, John Fidanza. Wick steps off as he wants to go through the signs once more. Nobody out, top of the 6th. Wick has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. That one's way inside. As jumping out of the way of that one's Melvin Rodriguez. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Want to know the count? Melvin Rodriguez committed that error in the bottom half of the 5th, but fortunately for him, it did not come back to bite the Slammers. Wick has his sign, he's set, and the 1-0. That one's outside for a ball. Wick falls behind Melvin Rodriguez now, 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count, nobody out here in the top of the 6th. 3-2 Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Wick looks into Fidanza, has his sign, he's set, and the 2-0. That one's a called strike this time on the outside corner. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. Wick entering this one has 1 more strikeout than innings pitched, 39 strikeouts in 38 innings of work. Wick has his sign, he's set, the 2-1. And a swing and a miss, and the count evens up at 2-2 Wick so far 2 strikeouts through an inning and a third here out there tonight. 2-2, nobody out. Wick looking into Fidanza, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a foul ball back to the screen, so the count remains even at 2-2. Rodriguez just getting a piece of that one at the plate, facing off against Andrew Wick. Wick in his first year with the Washington Wild Things. 2-1 so far this year, has 4 saves. He is tied for second on the team with Colin Stanley. Devin Davis leads the team with 6 saves. Wick has his sign, the 2-2, and a swing, and Rodriguez just getting a piece of that one as it trickles behind home plate, and the count remains 2-2. Pretty decent crowd for this Friday night doubleheader. More than halfway full here at Consol Energy Park as fans coming out to support their Washington Wild Things team. Wick looks into Fidanza, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the 2-2. Swing and a fly ball to right field. Dave Popkins going over, he slides! And he can't make the catch, it goes to the wall. Rodriguez around first, heading to second, he's thinking 3. Here comes the throw, and it's not in time as it's cut off. It's a leadoff triple for Melvin Rodriguez, and Joliet has a runner at third with nobody out here in the top of the 6th as they look to add on to their lead. That'll bring up the catcher, Joe Staley. Staley so far in this one is 1 for 2. Reached on an error his first time up and doubled and scored a run in inning number 4. Nobody out here in the top of inning number 6. It's 3-2. Joliet leads over the Wild Things. However, Joliet threatening with that runner at third and nobody out. And with that, there's going to be action in the Wild Things bullpen as Devin Davis grabs a glove and starts throwing. Infield in for the Wild Things. Wick has his sign. He's set. And the pitch on the way. That one's outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Wick falls behind Joe Staley here, top of the 6th. He allowed that leadoff triple. Melvin Rodriguez standing over at third. Wild Things had stranded 2 runners at third with less than 2 outs. See if Wick can strand that guy here in this inning. Here's the 1-0. That one's outside for a ball, and the count now goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Wick falling behind Joe Staley. Staley, the primary catcher for the Joliet Slammers, standing in there at 6'1", 245 from Frisco, Texas. Staley now bats from the left side against the new righty Andrew Wick. Staley the switch hitter. Wick has his sign, the 2-0. That one's outside for a ball, and Wick now falling behind. 3 balls and no strikes. Wick has not given Staley anything to hit here in this at-bat to this point. All 3 pitches have missed by a lot at the plate. Wick has his sign, he's set, and the 3-0. And this one fouled off to the left side. That'll get back into the seats. Count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count. Wick in those 38 innings of work does have 14 walks on the season, so the walk numbers not really high for Andrew Wick, but still not as low as he would probably like them to be. Wick has his sign, he's set, checks third, and the 3-1. Swing and a miss, and the count goes full now, 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count would be big if Wick could pick up another strikeout here, as 2 strikeouts through 1 1/3 innings of work. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The on-deck man is Charlie White. Wick has his sign, checks the runner at third, and the 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Wick strikes him out, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Joliet Slammers here in the top of the 6th, and that brings to the plate the center fielder, Charlie White. White so far 1 for 2. Reached on a fielder's choice in the second and hit an RBI single in inning number 4. That RBI single to this point is the winning hit for Joliet. They lead 3-2 over your Washington Wild Things. The runner at third is Melvin Rodriguez. White looking for his second RBI here in this ball game. Infield still in for the Wild Things. Andrew Wick looks into John Fidanza, going through the signs. Has one he likes, he's set, and the pitch on the way. This one hit the right field. Dave Popkins giving chase. He's going to not make the catch. It falls in. It's going to be an RBI single for Charlie White as another run comes in for Joliet, and they now lead 4-2 over your Washington Wild Things. Second RBI hit of the day for Charlie White. It's now 4-2 Joliet, and that'll bring in the shortstop, Alfredo Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 2 for 3. Grounded out in the first, singled in the second, and singled in inning number 4. 4-2, Joliet now leads over your Washington Wild Things. Run coming in on that RBI single by Charlie White. Second RBI hit of the day, And right now, manager Greg Langbang coming out of the Wild Things dugout. No signal yet, and now there is the signal, so we're going to have a pitching change. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more Wild Things baseball here on the MSA Sports Network. Current score, top of the 6th, Joliet 4, your Washington Wild Things 2.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School, lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Currently in the top of the 6th with one man out. Joliet has runners at, they have runners at first base with one man out in the inning. And new pitcher on for the Washington Wild Things. It'll be left-hander Devin Davis. Davis so far in the year 1-1, 6 saves, a 3.13 ERA. Appearing in his 34th game, he's thrown 37 1/3 innings of work, giving up 34 hits, 14 runs, 13 earned, walked 14, and struck out 42 so far on the season. He's been the closer since Zach Groats was signed by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Devin Davis on here in the top of the 6th with one man out. Stepping in, the first man to face him in this one is the shortstop Alfredo Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 2 for 3, 2 singles, and a ground out in this ball game. You'll see now Devin Davis, a very fast worker on the mound. Gets the ball, gets his sign, and throws it. Has his signee set. Here's the pitch. Throw over to first, and getting back is Charlie White. White so far in the year for the Joliet Slammers, 28 stolen bases in 86 games played. Currently leads the Slammers in that category. Davis set the pitch, and this ball popped up. Foul back into the seats and right, and the count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count. Devin Davis going to be asked to get these last 2 outs here in this inning, and will more than likely pitch the 7th as well. Joliet still has action out there. They have a lefty warming up. Here's the 0-1. This one grounded to third. Rodriguez to second for 1 on to first, and Davis comes in and gets it done. Dynamite Davis, a double play, 5-4-3, and that ends the inning. No, 1 run in the inning for Joliet on 2 hits, no errors, and they don't leave anybody on. Going to the bottom of the 6th in the score, the Joliet Slammers 4, your Washington Wild Things 2. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get to sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 6th, and the score, the Joliet Slammers 4 and your Washington Wild Things 2. New pitcher on for the Joliet Slammers as a lefty takes over. That'll be left-hander Brett Coben. Coben so far on the year for the Joliet Slammers enters play today with a record of 4-7, a 4.33 ERA, has 6 saves on the year, appearing in his 33rd game. He's thrown 45 and 2/3 innings of work, giving up 31 hits, 24 runs, 22 earned, 29 walks, and 47 strikeouts on the year. So Brent Coben into the game for the Joliet Slammers. Due up to face him here in this bottom of the 6th inning is Chris Grayson, Ricky Rodriguez, Dave Popkins. Lefty-on-lefty matchup. Coben has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Grayson takes a strike on the outside corner. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things center fielder. Coben does have 6 saves on the year, as we said, so could be in for a 2-inning save. Here's the 0-1, and this one fouled back to the screen. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on Chris Grayson, center fielder for the Wild Things in his first year with the Washington Wild Things. Was signed just before the All-Star break, a week before, last time the Wild Things were in Joliet. Coben has his sign. He's set the 0-2 pitch. And that one's in the dirt for a ball. Blocked back there by Joe Staley. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Nobody out. Bottom of the 6th. 4-2. The Joliet Slammers lead over your Washington Wild Things. Game 2 of this doubleheader. Coben has his sign. He's set the 1-2. And that one's high for a ball. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 here on Chris Grayson. Nobody out. Bottom of the 6th. 4-2. Joliet leads. Coben has his sign. The 2-2. Swinging a foul ball. Grayson just staying alive as that one goes off the thumb of the glove for Joe Staley. Looking at that glove, wondering why he didn't catch that ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Grayson played for the Sioux Falls Canaries prior to joining the Washington Wild Things earlier this year. Was out of baseball for about a week before the Wild Things were able to pick him up. Coben has his sign. He's set the 2-2. And that one's just outside for a ball. Fills up the count here on Chris Grayson to lead things off in this bottom of the 6th. 3 balls and 2 strikes. On deck is Ricky Rodriguez. Coben looks in, has his sign. He's set, and the 3-2. Swinging a ground ball to the right side. Melvin Rodriguez handles it in shallow right. Throwing to first, and Grayson just thrown out by an eyelash at first base. 4-3 on the putout. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in this bottom half of the 6th.
Looking to
and that'll
replace
bring
your
to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far is 1 for 2. Flew out in the first and hit a solo home run in inning number 4. 1 man out, bottom of the 6th inning. 4-2, the Joliet Slammers lead over your Washington Wild Things. Brent Coben looking in, has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Rodriguez takes that one outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things third baseman. Brett Coben standing in there at 6'3", 215 from Akron, Ohio. The 1-0. That one's high for a ball, and the count now goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Ricky Rodriguez, one of 4 All-Stars for the Wild Things, out at that third base position. Coben has his sign. Here's the 2-0. And this ball hit the center field. Going back a couple of steps is Charlie White. He's going to camp under it, and he'll make the catch. That's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things here in this bottom of the 6th, and that'll bring to the plate the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far is 1 for 1. Tripled and scored a run in the 2nd and walked in inning number 4. 2 men out, bottom of the 6th. 4-2, Joliet leads over the Wild Things. Brent Coben in to relieve his starter, Chris Rice. Rice ends up going 5, giving up 2 runs, both earned, on 3 hits, walked 2, and struck out 2 in the ball game. Coben has his sign, the pitch, and this one hit towards center field. White coming on, and he's not going to make the catch on that one. So it's a 2-out single for Dave Popkins. He's on, and that'll bring to the plate the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far in this one, 1 for 2, RBI single in the 2nd, and hit into a 5-4-3 double play in inning number 4. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th, 4-2, the Joliet Slammers lead over your Washington Wild Things. Brent Coben, the lefty, facing off against the left-handed hitter in Jimmy Yezzo. Dave Popkins getting that 2-out single. He's at first base, takes his lead. Coben has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Yezzo takes this one for a strike at the knees. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. Still wearing that Evo shield on his right ankle, trying to protect that ankle that he injured 2 weeks ago. The 0-1, and this one fouled off at the plate. Count now goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count, 2 men out, bottom of the 6th. 4-2 Joliet leads. Coben looking in, has his sign. He's set. The 0-2 pitch. That one's outside for a ball, and the count now goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 on Jimmy Yezzo. Dave Popkins, the runner at first. He's singled with 2 men out. Coben has his side. Checks Popkins, the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Jimmy Yezzo strikes out, and that ends the inning. No runs in the inning for the Wild Things on just 1 hit, no errors, and they leave 1 on. After 6 innings of play here at Consol Energy Park, the score, the Joliet Slammers 4, your Washington Wild Things 2. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We ensure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here in the top of inning number 7 here at Consol Energy Park. Game 2 of this doubleheader between your Washington Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Devin Davis back out there for his first full inning of relief for the Wild Things. He came on in the top half of the sixth, got the last 2 outs in the inning. Got Alfredo Rodriguez to hit into a 5-4-3 double play to end that inning. Due up here in the 7th against him will be the 2-3-4 guys, Mark Flores, Jake Gronsky, and Carter Bell, facing off against Devin Davis. Davis currently has the 3rd lowest ERA on the team entering today, a 3.13 ERA. He's behind both Matt Frauden, and as the first man stepping in is Mark Flores. Devin Davis behind Christian Powell and Matt Frauden. Here's Davis's pitch, and that one's on the inside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the left fielder for the Joliet Slammers. Has played first base in all the other games against the Wild Things. Here's Davis's 0-1. That one's a called strike, and the count now goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on Mark Flores. Davis quickly out in front. Has his sign, the 0-2. And a called strike 3. Davis strikes out Mark Flores, and that's out number 1. 1 up, 1 down here in the top of the 7th. And that brings to the plate the third baseman, Jake Gronsky. Gronsky so far 2 for 3. Singled in the first, singled in the third, and popped out in inning number 4. 1 man out here in the top of the 7th. 4-2. Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Devin Davis, the quickest worker on this Wild Things staff. Davis has his sign. He said, here's the pitch. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Jake Gronsky, the third baseman for Joliet, has 2 singles here in this ball game. Davis is 1-0, and that one's a called strike, and the count goes to 1 ball, 1 strike. Devin Davis talking about his fast work, said he learned it in the Chicago White Sox organization, the 1-1, and this one grounded foul past the third base coaching box, 1 ball and 2 strikes. He said he was in a pitcher's meeting, and his pitching coach said, hey, you guys got to work faster, beat the batter to the box. Davis is what he called himself a human rain delay before that speech, and everything turned around from there. The 1-2, and that one's high for a ball. Count evens out at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count here on Jake Gronsky. 1 man out, top of the 7th. Davis's 2-2 pitch. And swinging a ground ball towards the middle. Wobrock gloves, throws to first, and makes the play. What a nice play there by Austin Wobrock. That's out number 2, ranging to his left, gloving the ball, and throwing a strike to Yezzo at first. 2 men out, top of the 7th. That brings to the plate the designated hitter, Carter Bell. Bell so far in this one, 1 for 3. RBI single in the first, flew out in inning number 3, and struck out in inning number 5. 2 men out, top of the 7th. Joliet leads 4-2, and with no action in Joliet's bullpen, looks like Brent Coben will go in for a 2-inning save in this one. The pitch, and that one's inside for a ball. Turning out of the way is Carter Bell. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. 1 strikeout on the day for Davis, the 1-0, and that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Davis on the year currently has 42 strikeouts, good for 4th on the team. The 2-0, and this ball hit to center field. Chris Grayson goes back on it a couple of steps, and he's going to make the catch on the warning track. That's in time for out number 3. 1, 2, 3 go the Slammers here in the top of the 7th. Last chance for the Wild Things now as we go to the bottom of the 7th. The score, Joliet 4, your Washington Wild Things 2. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 7th, and the score, the Joliet Slammers 4, your Washington Wild Things 2. Zach Hirsch was actually on the mound in that 6th inning, so he's coming out for his 2nd inning of work. So we're going to run through Zach Hirsch's numbers for you. It was not Brent Coben, it was Zach Hirsch on the mound. Hirsch so far 0-1, no saves, a 2.16 ERA, appearing in his 7th game, 8 1/3 innings of work, 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. So Zach Hirsch has been on the mound, his 2nd inning of work. Facing him here in the bottom of the 7th, Kyle Pollock, Grant Fink, John Fidanza. Last chance for the Wild Things. Hirsch has his sign, the pitch, and that one's in there for a strike on the outside corner. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things DH. Kyle Pollock was the catcher in Game 1. Hirsch has his sign, holds at the belt, and the 0-1. That one's a called strike, and the count now at no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Kyle Pollock. Nobody out, bottom of the 7th. Wild Things trying to come back. They're down by 2. Hirsch has his sign. He's set the 0-2 pitch. That one's high for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. For Zach Hirsch, appearing in only his 7th game as a Joliet Slammer, as he joined the Slammers late in the season. His first year in the Frontier League. The 1-2, this one rolled softly to the left side. Alfredo Gonzalez gloves, throws to first, and the throw just does beat Kyle Pollock hustling down the line there. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in this bottom of the 7th, and that'll bring to the plate their second baseman, Grant Fink. Fink so far on the day 0 for 2, struck out in the 2nd and flew out in inning number 5. 1 man out, bottom half of the 7th, 4-2. Joliet leads over your Washington Wild Things. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Game 3 of the 3-game series will be tomorrow evening, 7:05 first pitch. Will be Christian Powell taking the mound for your Wild Things. Hirsch has his sign, the pitch, and Fink takes this one for a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the second baseman for the Washington Wild Things. Hirsch has his sign. He's set the 0-1. Swung on and foul, tipped there by Fink, back into the glove of Joe Staley, so the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count, 1 man out. Hirsch looks in, has his sign, he's set. The 0-2 pitch. That one's high for a ball, and the count now goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 on the Wild Things second baseman. Fink was out at third for Game 1 of this doubleheader. Hirsch has his sign, he's set, and the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Grant Fink strikes out, and that's out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things here in this bottom of the 7th, and their last chance stepping to the plate in the form of catcher, John Fidanza. Fidanza so far 0 for 1, grounded out in the 2nd and walked in inning number 5. 2 men away, bottom of the 7th, 4-2. The Joliet Slammers lead over your Washington Wild Things. Wild Things trying to avoid being swept here in this doubleheader. Hirsch looking in. Going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, the pitch. And a swing and a miss by Fidanza. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Wild Things catcher, John Fidanza, the backup for Kyle Pollock. Hirsch has his sign, he's set, here's the 0-1. That one's low for a ball. Count evens out at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on John Fidanza, batting right-handed against the lefty Hirsch. Hirsch has his sign, the 1-1. Swinging a foul ball off to the right into the seats, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wild Things down to their last strike here in this ball game against the Joliet Slammers. Joliet is looking to take this doubleheader. The 1-2 pitch, and a swing and a pop-up. Foul territory behind the plate, and it'll get back behind the stadium, in fact, and the count remains 1-2. Wild Things lost game 1 by the score of 5-1, currently losing 4-2 here in game 2. Here's Hirsch's 1-2, and that one's low for a ball. Fidanza takes it, 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Number 8 hitter in the Wild Things order. Hirsch has his sign. He's set. The 2-2. And that one's low for a ball, so the count now goes full on Fidanza. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 men out. Austin Wobrock awaits on deck if Fidanza can reach. Hirsch going through the signs. Has one he likes. He's set. The 3-2 offering. Swinging a ground ball to short. Alfredo Rodriguez has it. Throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. The Joliet Slammers sweep this doubleheader from your Washington Wild Things. They win game 2. Final score 4-2. The winning pitcher in this ballgame is Chris Rice. Rice improves to 4-1 on the season. The losing pitcher, Brandon Bixler. Bixler falls to 1-1. The save goes to Zach Hirsch. Hirsch's first save of his Frontier League career. Keep it tuned right here to the MSA Sports Network. Up next, the Washington Wild Things postgame show. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network. We're back here on the MSA Sports Network. You're listening to Washington Wild Things.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Final score in this one, the Joliet Slammers sweep the doubleheader from your Washington Wild Things, winning game 2 by the score of 4-2. The winning pitcher in the game was the starter Chris Rice. Rice went 4-1 now. The losing pitcher Brandon Bixler. Bixler falls to 1-1. Zach Hirsch picks up his first save of the 2016 season. Scoring recap in this one for you. The Joliet Slammers jumped on top first. Alfredo Rodriguez grounded out to start the game. Then Mark Flores and Jake Gronsky back-to-back singles put runners at first and second with 1 man out. Carter Bell would then hit an RBI single. Mark Flores scored, and the Joliet Slammers took a 1-0 lead. Mike Garza would then hit into a 4-6-3 double play, and that would end the first inning. So it was 1-0 Slammers after 1 inning of play. Then Slammers back on the board in the top of the second. Zarley Zalewski singled to lead things off before Melvin Rodriguez reached on a fielder's choice. Then Joe Staley reached on an error. That put runners at first and second with just 1 man out. Charlie White would then hit into a fielder's choice. Runners moved to first and third with 2 away before Alfredo Rodriguez hit an RBI single. Scoring was Melvin Rodriguez, and that gave Joliet a 2-0 lead. Bottom half of the second, Wild Things would get on the board. Dave Popkins tripled to lead things off. Jimmy Yezzo would then hit an RBI single, his 39th RBI of the year. That put the Wild Things on the board and made the score 2-1. Kyle Pollock would ground out, Grant Fink struck out, and John Fidanza grounded out to end the inning. Then to the top of inning number 4, Joliet on the board once again. 2-1 was our score. Zarley Zalewski and Melvin Rodriguez would each strike out to start the inning. Then Joe Staley would double, and Charlie White came through with an RBI single. Staley came around to score, and Joliet took a 3-1 lead. Next batter, Alfredo Rodriguez would single, putting runners at first and second with just 1 man out. And then Mark Flores was hit by a pitch that loaded the bases, with 2 men out. And that would be it for Brandon Bixler. Andrew Wick came on and got Jake Gronsky to pop out to end the inning. Bixler ended his night 3 2/3, giving up 3 runs, all earned on 9 hits. Did not walk anybody and struck out 2 in the ball game. Wild Things would get back on the board in the bottom half of the 4th. They were down by the score of 3-1, and Ricky Rodriguez took the first pitch of the inning. A solo home run over the left field wall, his 8th home run of the season, and that made the score 3-2 Joliet. Dave Popkins would then walk before Jimmy Yezzo hit into a 5-4-3 double play, and Kyle Pollock grounded out to end the inning. So it was 3-2 Joliet after 4. Joliet would add an insurance run in the top of the 6th. Melvin Rodriguez tripled to lead things off. Joe Staley then struck out, and Charlie Wright hit an RBI single. Rodriguez came in to score. That made it 4-2 Joliet. Then Wick's night was done. Wick ended up going a total of 1 2/3, giving up just the 1 run. It was earned on 2 hits, did not walk anybody, and struck out 3. Devin Davis came on, and he got a 5-4-3 double play to end that inning. Davis then threw a 1-2-3 top of the 7th, and it was up to the Wild Things in the bottom of the 7th, facing off against Zach Hirsch. Hirsch was in for his second inning of work. He got Kyle Pollock to ground out, then Grant Fink struck out, and John Finanza would ultimately ground out to end the game. So the totals in this one for the victorious Joliet Slammers, they go to 48-40 on the season. Their winning pitcher Chris Rice goes to 4-1. He went 5, gave up 2 runs, both earned on 3 hits, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Joliet ended up scoring 4 runs in the game on a total of 10 hits and committed 1 error on the night. For the Washington Wild Things, they fell to 43-44. The losing pitcher Brandon Bixler 3 2/3, 3 runs all earned on 9 hits, did not walk anybody, and struck out 2 in the ball game. For the Wild Things, they would get 2 runs in this ball game on a total of 6 hits, and they did not commit an error in the ball game. Going to take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard here in the Frontier League, as the Wild Things dropping this doubleheader to the Joliet Slammers, losing Game 1 by a score of 5-1 and Game 2 by a score of 4-2. In O'Fallon, Missouri, the River City Rascals currently lead the Normal Corn Belchers 13-1. That game in the bottom of the 5th. Florence leads the Gateway Grizzlies 8-4. That game in the top of the 9th. Some finals from around the league. At Bosse Field in Evansville, Indiana, the Evansville Otters defeat the Southern Illinois Miners 9-1. At Standard Bank Stadium in Crestwood, Illinois, Windy City handles Schaumburg 6-1. And at Werfel Park in Traverse City, Michigan, the Lake Erie Crushers defeated the Traverse City Beach Bums 12-5 in that ball game. Next Wild Things broadcast, we'll be back right here tomorrow night, 7:05 first pitch for Game 3 of this 4-game series between your Wild Things and the Joliet Slammers. Christian Powell will be making that start tomorrow night for the Washington Wild Things as they try to take a game back here in this 4-game series. They dropped the doubleheader tonight, losing Game 1 by the score of 5-1, and then losing Game 2 by the score of 4-2. I'm Zach Ziegler. I'd like to thank you for listening to Washington Wild Things baseball here on the MSA Sports Network, and remind you to come back tomorrow at 7:05. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a good night from Consol Energy Park. I'm Zach Ziegler.
MSA Sports. Press 1 to resume or 3 to end broadcast. Your broadcast has been ended.